What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of East Meets West, your one-stop shop for everything CBFFL. I'm your host, NHL Jake, owner of the Globo Gym Purple Cobras. That's the second time I did that, too.
Yeah,
joined by a division rival, Big Matt, back this week. Matt, how you feeling?
great.
Simple answer from Matt.
Uh-huh.
And my host over here, the lead voice of the league, Commissioner Joseph Bell. Commissioner, how you doing?
Feeling terrible.
Feeling terrible.
Yeah, awful.
Well, how do you like the product so far after 2 weeks? How's everything going in the league?
I like it. I think we're off to an interesting start, interesting year of the league. No preseason was interesting, so kind of going into the draft based off of last year's performances, and it's really showing with the injuries that we'll get to later in the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's extremely exciting. Everything started, and what helps make this league exciting is our division play, which brings along rivalries, and as everybody knows, that started in week 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into first is to our weekly recap of week 2. We're going to start with the Globo Gym Purple Cobras versus C Block's Biggest Loser. We're going to start with our injuries here. Going into the game, Chris Godwin, Kenny Galladay, Michael Thomas, Le'Veon Bell, Philip Lindsay, and Devontae Parker, who ended up playing, were all hurt. And coming out of that game, of course, we all know Christian McCaffrey put on IR today. McCaffrey. As for the game, we look at the running back 2 in the flex spot for the Purple Cobras, less than 11 points. Mark Andrews, 1 catch on the day. Charlie, he had a combination of Murray and Hopkins combined for almost 49 points. James Robinson, big day, 19 and a half. The trade with something we'll get into later. DJ Moore came up big for him, 16 points. The one low spot was Hines. The previous week before, Charlie had dropped $60 of his fab money on Hines. Starting this week, less than 1 point, so wasn't too good. You guys, any thoughts on the game?
Get your ass whooped.
I did get my ass whooped.
I don't necessarily think that most of it is your fault. I mean, Mark Andrews had not a great week.
1 catch.
1 big old catch.
Mm-hmm.
Did better than 9 Hines, though.
Yes. 0.9.
I mean, Adrian Peterson is just, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Absolutely.
Your other running backs are non-existent. And McCaffrey killed it. It's just a shame that he went down.
Well, like I said, the RB2 spot continues to hurt us. We made a move this week, again, something we'll get into a little later. Obviously, a big day for Charlie, staring at 0-2 once again, able to avoid that. But the big question right now is, do we think this is a fluke, or do we think Charlie is legitimate this year?
I mean, his wide receivers are certainly legitimate. I think he probably has the best 1-2 punch in the league. It just kind of sucks for him that Michael Thomas went down, but he did a good job of filling in for him, getting that DJ Moore trade. I still think, although technically James Conner did better than DJ Moore this week, DJ Moore's targets were back up. I believe he saw 12 targets and caught 8 of them, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's going to be, they're going to have to throw a lot, especially with McCaffrey gone. They're going to be down a lot. They're going to be throwing the ball. Robbie Anderson seems to have a role there. DJ Moore is going to be the, get him down the field guy. I see Robbie Anderson still as that typical stretch the field kind of player when DJ Moore's going to be coming across the middle more. So the target should be there, honestly. So it's going to be interesting. If he can last it out, and Nyheim Hines is looking like a bust. I was talking
It was
Matt.
big money. Yeah, it was big money.
Yeah, I honestly thought with Phillip Rivers' track record of throwing to the running back, he could be like the budget Alvin Kamara of the season. I think I mentioned that to Matt right before. Yeah, and it just didn't show out. I mean, Jordan Wilkins came back and had 9 carries. That was interesting. So they really seem to like to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. And yeah, if Nyheim Hines can stay relevant and he can kind of last until Lev gets back. I know it sounds gross, but if you can start Lev and James Robinson continues to do what he's doing, and then throw out Michael Thomas, D-Hop, DJ Moore on a weekly basis, I mean, he's going to be in game. So
Yeah, it's early, but it's looking like if you can kind of stay 500 throughout the year in the East right now, that you might have a chance. Without injuries and players coming, like player coming back, you could potentially still have a chance at making the playoffs. But the big thing for Charlie was starting 1-1. I know it doesn't seem like a real big accomplishment, but it's nice for him to see his team second right now in the division.
Yeah.
You know, in the past couple of years, I think he's 2 out of the last 3 years, something like that. He started 0-2, so that was big for him. We're gonna go to B Block's finest versus Average Joe's. Going into it, who was it? Kittle was out, AJ Brown and Crowder were the big injuries.
I just realized that long list that you read on the last page was just you and Charlie's game of injuries.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
That's unbelievable.
After writing these, like you'll hear the next couple pages.
Yeah.
And
Battle of the benches.
The next game
That
has
was unreal.
The next game has one, and that's all you see. And then we had the big one coming out of it. But the big one coming out of this, obviously, Saquon Barkley. That's huge, obviously, for Tom. Getting into the game, Steve with Connor coming off that trade had a really big day for him. Cook keeps on cooking. Kelsey with the big day, 19.5 points, and David Montgomery with a receiving touchdown, which was actually a good sign for Steve. For Tom, you had Taylor looking like a running back 1, Dak getting a little less than 40 points. But the big thing for Tom, I didn't really look into it. I think he got the game up.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody on his bench that could have made the difference, but Fuller came out of that game with 0 points in the flex spot, which was a big disappointment for him.
Yeah, nothing would have made the difference to make him win, but
Obviously points and everything, you know what I mean?
Robbie Anderson, like I mentioned, had another good game, so that would have been
Yeah, he
would have brought up to a 10-point difference.
he
as opposed to 23.
potentially could have won, but he would have needed to change his defense out and play Robbie Anderson instead of Will Fuller.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that obviously you're not
Yeah.
going to do
Well,
it, but
no, but
right
I mean,
now for him it's points.
Will
Like, that would
Fuller
be big to get that.
Will Fuller was a smart bet too, because you knew that Houston was going to be losing that game the entire time. You assumed that he would have been targeted a little bit more than he was, and he would have caught something.
Even going into this week, they've had a rough stretch. Like, I got obviously Deshaun, and I think he's had 2 touchdowns, 200 something. Their schedule is really rough. It lightens up after this, so we'll see how everything goes with that. But how do we feel about Steve's 3-headed monster running back?
Three-headed monster?
Yeah, I would say he has a Montgomery, Cook, Connor. Can we call it a 3-headed monster? No, you don't think so?
I think they're all good. I don't think Montgomery's going to be considered a monster.
Like, we have a couple teams in the league that can start 3 running backs, and you know what I mean? You don't think that's one of the...
I think mine are better.
You think yours are better? Well, I guess we'll get into that.
I mean, the one thing I'd say is Benny Snell, who it was rumored before the game they were going to split carries. I think the reports were coming out saying he ran the ball and fumbled, and then we didn't see him again. So usually with Tomlin, we've seen this in the past. If you see fumbling issues, you see someone who just doesn't know how to run between the tackles, they don't get much play time. And if he doesn't get play time, James Conner is going to be that bell cow in Pittsburgh, which is
huge. I mean, that was, again, we'll get into that later, but that was a big trade for Steve. We know how hard running backs are to come by. Tom tried filling the Barkley hole, I believe it was. Is this a death sentence for Tom with the 0-2 start and the way his lineup's looking right now?
He's trying to salvage the year. I think he's pulsing the league, see what he can do. I mean, it's hard to have the third pick. Sorry, Tommy all of a sudden is a genius and took Steve over Barkley. Had the third pick and he goes down. We usually don't see those teams make the playoffs. I know I had DJ the 1 year at 1, like he went down the first week. It's tough, but we'll see what he can do. His team's honestly still not bad. I don't think. I mean, in my opinion, he's hitting on some waiver wire guys that he might be able to flip, but we'll see if that rookie keeps playing as well as he did for LA. Keenan Allen was starting to see some targets, and he did in week 1. But yeah, it's tough to draft a top 3 pick and then have him go down for the season.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor actually looked really good. They gave him the ball like 26 times.
Yeah, legitimate arguable.
Yeah, like he's going to get utilized a lot.
He's Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it must be nice to. I mean, it's a shame that he lost one, but I mean, he got another one for free in the same regard, so he's kind of back to where he was. I mean, I'd still rather have Saquon.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jonathan Taylor ain't got that garbage O-line to sit behind.
Yep.
So.
All right, we're going to move into our next game. Shirts off, pants down, going up against the Wisconsin Redskins. Coming out of that game, there wasn't really any injuries that I saw going into the game. Coming out of the game, though, we do have Julio. From what I read today, it looks like he's kind of day-to-day, I guess they would say. They didn't really give like anything on him, but basically it seems like he's kind of day-to-day. But going into the game, Brady struggled big time this week again, which is concerning. Brady had 4 players scored under 10 points, And I guess you could say the only bright spot of the week would be Minshew, who was on his bench, but he had a really big game. All you had to really say from that was Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb. They had a shade under 70 points combined, and that was pretty much the game right there. I think Brian might have scored 84, something like that. So
84.9.
yeah, that was pretty much between them two players.
Yeah. At one point in time, Aaron Jones was beating his team by himself.
Yeah, I remember Matt saying
clock
to me on
games.
Sunday at one point that he was winning like that. Any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, another injury that popped up. I seen it a couple hours ago. Darren Waller actually has a knee injury. Too,
Okay,
so that kind of sucks for me a little bit. But I'm not too worried about it. I don't have enough information on it to really act on it right now. But
Something to monitor.
yeah, something to pay attention to. I mean, another thing with Tom Brady too, I think he had 2 wide open touchdowns that just dropped. That I know he had the one to Shady where it just went through his hands.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily his fault. It's just sometimes his receivers just ain't helping him out.
I guess the one thing, well, 2 things in this coming out of this game for Bryant. One of them is it time to bench or even, drop Tom Brady? Do you think he should wait it out, or
No, I think
maybe
he should
start?
he should just never been drafted.
Well,
I didn't think it was worth it. Period.
There's all right. So you see a trend, and this is like what I did this for the last 2 years. Not that I have no rings, but you see a trend right in the league where there's more down the field passing, which is causing all of the line. You can't really play linebackers anymore. You have to you play a lot of nickel, and everyone backs up. And then you see the Lamar Jacksons, the Kyler Murrays, the Gardner Minshews, the Russell Wilsons, Josh Allen. Yeah, there's a reason why these guys are getting drafted, and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are starting to fall down. Not to mention they're getting older, but also the rushing floor just isn't there with them. And Tom Brady brings you 0 floor, in my opinion, especially when his best receiver's hurt.
so basically you need 3 touchdowns.
Right. Not that you can see that, but you're not looking at the Tom Brady that's going to throw 350 yards to Randy Moss every game. You're looking at the Tom Brady that's going to salvage together a game. He's going to play the clock well, and he's going to hopefully take Tampa Bay relying on their defense and their run game.
Yeah,
to the playoffs.
They're a team that wants to get the lead and just run the ball. They got
and that's what
2
they
pretty
did.
Good running
Yeah,
backs.
they-
I don't think he wants to be a clock manager though. I mean, he can be.
No,
I
I
do.
think at this point in his career, I think he knows what he needs
Yeah.
to be. I don't think it's so much you're not. His ego isn't going to get in the way of him having to throw for fucking 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
No, I mean he's
But
smart.
He can win a game with
He's
175
smart.
yards and a touchdown there.
Yeah, but he
You know
went
what I
there
mean?
because they have offensive weapons.
And that's my point.
So-
That's the point. He knows he
His
can be a game
limitations.
manager to win.
Yeah.
So the point you both made, I wouldn't draft it on.
Yeah.
I guess we can agree it's time to start waiver wiring quarterback. Right?
Well, he's
He
got
has
Minshew
someone on the bench.
and that's
yeah,
right, but that's what I mean. You start and they, project Minshew to actually, do good the rest of the season. But
Yeah.
again, he starts struggling. You got to waiver wire another quarterback. Same thing with Tom. That goes with Bryant. Is his roster constructed to come back from an 0-2 start?
I mean, I think he has to catch another break somewhere or be able to pull the trigger on a trade.
I mean, I know we're going to be looking at a lot more injuries. There's going to be
Ryan, you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
sorry. I do think his roster is constructed to come back. As far as the Julio injury goes, we were just talking about this off the air, but I don't. It's Julio. He's hurt every play. He's LaShawn McCoy in the prime. He injures his foot. He injures that. He's just. When you run the amount of routes that he ran and break the amount of tackles he's broken in his career, you're going to get hurt. But he needs, in my opinion, Allen Robinson. If Melvin Gordon continues to run as an RB1, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not going to have only 10 every game. If he can fix the quarterback position, he's also not going to have 150 points scored on him every week, you would think. So,
no, it's only twice now.
Yeah. So, I do see Brian coming back, more of middle pack in the East. But for right now, I think it's fair to rank them low. We'll see in the power rankings as well. But
and the one thing coming out of this game for me, they're right up there in points. Can we say the Redskins are right now, after 2 weeks, the best team in the league? Best roster in the league, I guess you would say. Not so much team.
Yeah, we'll see.
Any comment on that?
So.
Yeah.
Piggyback on that real
I'm sorry,
quick, Jake.
that's right.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Have we ever seen a case of first to worst? As Bry's the defending champ. Started 0-2. We already know 0-2 isn't.
What did Matt do? You were the closest, right?
Or
did you?
Matt went 4-9 that year.
I
think Charlie. That might have been one of Charlie's 2-11. That's something
no,
I have to look.
No. I was worse in our division. I wasn't worse than the league, though.
Okay.
league.
Yeah, I started off.
Yeah,
I would.
division-wise, were you last in the division?
Yeah, I think so.
he went from winning the division to
I went from 1st to 9th, not 1st to 10th.
first to 6. We break this down to division.
Well, it's 5 then. If it's by divisions, yeah,
Well,
I
it's
went
10
from
and
5. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
I-
basically, technically, yes, in the division, you went first to win.
start
In
3
the
now. I did
ancient
4 now.
I would-
pre-12 days.
I would put money on that Brian will not finish last in the league.
Now, looking at his team now, I think that like
Division.
his receivers are so good.
Yeah, I would say no to that too.
No, yeah, his receivers are good, and his running backs are better than Charlie's, but worse. Yeah, his worse receivers.
They're better
They
than
have a
mine.
similar team.
Yeah.
Charlie just has a win.
Yeah, they're better than mine.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We're gonna go to the newly minute what was it? The Team Brock.
Yeah.
The Brock
The
football
Brock
team.
football
Brock
team.
football
The
team.
Brock football team.
The Brock football
The
team.
Brock football
The Brock
team,
football team going up against Jose's Hooligans. Going into this game, Courtland Sutton was hurt. Eventually, as we know, it looks like he's going to be done for the season. Sammy Watkins went into the game with a concussion. I don't know any update on him. As far as the game, Brock started 3 wide receivers, ended up scoring less than 30 points combined.
Well, Sutton got hurt and
Right.
left for the game and sooner in the year. But
None of them had. Yeah, he had Edelman. Edelman had 21.9.
I looked that up wrong then, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. Edelman had a good game. I mean, and still 8 from your other 2
High
apiece
scoring game of
isn't
the
the
week,
end
right?
of the world. Isn't the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the highest scoring game of the week at like 286 combined, which is stupid.
I do apologize about that. I wrote this before. They were a Sunday night game, right? I started writing this during the Sunday night game, so that's my fault.
Yeah.
But the one big thing, and I believe I am going to be right on this, Eckler with the bounce back game, so which was nice to see for him.
Yes.
As far as Jose, really with the big day, a little less than 27 points. Odell finally in Cleveland shining. I believe it was a little less than 16, right?
15.4.
And every player on Jose's roster scored over 11 points.
11
11 or more, yeah.
11 or more on every player. Yeah. Do we have wide receiver problems for Brock? I mean, is Edelman
Yeah.
going to do that? Like I said, I
Yes,
did this
I
before.
think, yeah.
I did this before that game went final. I did this during the game, so
Yeah, if there's anyone's receivers that we can say have a problem right now, I think it's Brock's. I mean, Sutton's out for the year. I know I think he was able to. He picked up Deion Lewis. Excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, Juju isn't seen. Deontay Johnson's now stepping up too, and Claypool. They seem to be taking some shots with them. But Edelman, I don't think he's going to be having 179 yards. That was the most yards he's ever had in a game. And I don't trust Cam to be as consistent. I think he's a great fantasy quarterback, but I don't know about. He was throwing some darts on Sunday night.
What's nice when you can stand behind an offensive line to protect you.
Yeah.
he actually did make a move today. Again, I was writing this before preparing for today. Jose waiver wire quarterbacks now dropping Carson Wentz. That was the question I had going in. Do you think we should drop Carson Wentz and start waiver wire quarterback for him?
Talking about the Eagles or us fantasy?
Both, actually. And how do we feel about the name change? About time?
The Brock football team?
Brock.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
mean, he's like piggybacking off mine, which is kind of bullshit, but I mean, his is
he
kinda
actually stole your thunder because his is better.
cool. Yeah, I know.
And I was a huge fan of
Yeah, I
listening to
know.
Redskins. I
I
thought
love
that
mine.
play on words with all that was really good. But yeah, that was fucking that was pretty cool.
Brock, if you're watching, I hate you. Also, good team.
Have a chance to settle it later in the year. Let's play each other.
I'll beat him then.
We're going to move on to the Polska Mafia going up against both sides of the bun. I didn't have any injuries coming out of this game that I noticed. For the game, big day for Tommy with Evans, Diggs, and Boyd getting a little less than 62 points combined. I believe America pointed out to me that they had a late garbage time touchdown. Who was that?
Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd had a late garbage
Yep.
touchdown.
Don't worry about America. Just ask me everything about this
You
game.
know,
Yeah. No,
I
pretty
forgot
well.
that it was true. Matt Ryan, another big day, and Zeke just continues 2 weeks in a row to roll, just doing Zeke things. As far as both sides of the bunch, slow day for Derrick Henry. I believe I'm correct on this one. 3 wide receivers on this team scored less than 30 points combined, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew I was right on that.
Yep.
And a big day for the Ravens, but a slow day for Lamar. 17 points, I guess you can call that a slow day.
Down week, yeah.
Another one with a problem, I think. Does both sides of the bun have a wide receiver problem?
I mean, the issue with all right. So I'm gonna vent a little bit about. This is the second. The luck of fantasy football is so irritating.
I threw the stat out earlier, and I think I'm going to cut you off, but I think this is 2 years in a row where Tommy's starting off with
Yes.
the minimal amount of points scored against.
There has to be something like week 5 will come and shit will even itself out again, but 2020, I don't know, maybe it just won't.
Maybe Tommy just keeps getting 90 points.
I literally, my team just no team scores more than 100 points against Tommy. I don't get it. Derrick Henry was in the red zone the whole fucking game. They threw touchdowns to Adam Humphries, Jonnu Smith twice, and Corey Davis, I think caught one. They literally scored 33 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Derrick Henry didn't have double digits. Somehow. Lamar Jackson's team scored 33 points against the Houston Texans. Didn't have 20 points.
Yeah, he
ran the ball 16 times.
That was
He didn't have 20 points.
Yeah.
Marquise Hollywood Brown he's actually ran now. Last year he only ran 55% of snaps. He's up in the 80th percentile this year. He's seeing the most targets on Baltimore offense. He out-targeted Mark Andrews. TJ Hawkinson has the Detroit Lions' most receiving yards. And DJ Chark is struggling a bit. He's still there down the field. So I'm not too worried about him. I think they realize the talent he has there. My kicker scored 15 points. Again, I'm venting, but KC went against a rookie and scored negative points. I don't know.
So I guess to answer the question, we can say that there's a wide receiver problem.
I don't think so.
I think you got solid wide receivers. I think
Here's what I'll say about my wide
they're
receivers.
both good.
Here's what I'll say. Well, 3. But here's what I'll say about the
both
receivers.
good.
I don't think you're leaving Marquise Brown out, and that's because you don't know Marquise Brown's stats and college tape and stuff. But
I just don't know.
Shots.
they're not big name guys. Like that's the thing. You look at DJ Chark, you're like, who's DJ Chark? No. You look at Cooper Kupp. I mean, I was a huge Cooper Kupp fan coming into the league.
Did Desmond killed last year?
Who? Chark? Well, yeah, that's the thing. They just broke out last year. So Marquise Brown's the same thing. Like he was a rookie last year. He was hurt. He only played, like I said, 53 or something like that % of the snaps.
So you think it'll come around? I'm kind of overblowing that on names alone, you think?
Yeah, I think so. And also, I mean, I lost to a guy that started. While my team didn't do this, again, I sound like I'm bending and bitching, but my team didn't do anything. Tommy started 2 Buffalo Bills offensive positional players. Couldn't decide between Ertz and Goddard and started a Thursday night player in his flex.
One scored less
and destroyed me by 40
One scored
points,
less than 10 and put up 132
Yeah.
points.
How many Eagles does Tommy have now? Like 6?
Yeah.
Who did you pick up?
We'll get into that later. We'll get into that later.
You feel better,
That
Joe?
was a very interesting
No.
move.
I don't feel bad.
That's
Terrible.
That money. But does the Polska Mafia, do they have
No.
the talent?
No.
Listen, hear me out. Do they have the talent to
No.
make this 2-0 start different from last year?
No.
Different from I just-
What happened last year?
4-9.
Sure.
Is-
I'll give him 5 and 8.
Yeah, I'll give him 5th in the division.
So you're calling for a repeat?
Yeah.
I'm calling for Tommy to not make the playoffs.
So history repeats itself. He starts 4-0, finishes 5-8 again.
5 and 8, 6 and 7, whatever it takes to not make the playoffs.
He's got a legitimate team.
We'll get to you in a minute.
Just
All
saying.
right, we're gonna move on to the game of the week. This was the big game, aka Slanic Bowl. Going into it, injuries. Mostert, who's out. Devontae Adams, who looks like he's going to be okay. Judy looks like he has rib problems, which I know he's a rookie. Could be kind of big because he's been playing pretty well. And then
Targets
Smith.
will be there too.
Yeah,
Portland's starting out for the year.
Most-
Mostert,
that's
Mostert
right.
started the game.
Yeah,
He
that's right.
started.
Boy, did he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Smith ended up getting, I think, it was like a knee injury, but
He's fine.
he practiced today.
That's fine. 2 touchdowns if I didn't say that already.
We're going to look at the sanitation department first. Josh Allen, another big day, which was nice for him. McLaren and Higbee combined, a little less than 48 points. And something that's interesting and kind of scary, I guess, for the rest of the league, he had a huge day on the bench. Kareem Hunt, Marvin Jones, and McKinnon all had big days. For Alex, Smith, a little less than 23 was a big day. He looks like he might be coming around as a top tight end. Less than 20 points combined from Adams, Green, and Ronald Jones, which is not what you want to see out of your 2 starting wide receivers and your flex. Coming out of this, with the running back depth that they have, is there a spot on the roster that you think the sanitation department needs to or can upgrade to make this a run?
I mean, Mike's team, yeah, maybe like his defense if they scored more than.
I mean,
0.
more like our big scoring.
Like going forward. No,
Yeah.
I think Mike is a great team.
Just
I think Mike is a solid, well-rounded team. And
So do you just hold like someone?
Suck it, bitches.
So do you just hold someone like Kareem Hunt on your bench? I mean, you start him here and there, buys and all that shit, but for the most part, I'll probably be on your bench with them 3 running backs.
Yeah,
Do you just hold them away from the rest of the league, or do you try to
I mean,
just?
you
Nah,
know,
I
the
mean,
one
if
hole-
you can upgrade, I mean, you upgrade. But I mean, it's.
Do you
want
try to
the
get a
depth?
better running back? Could you
No, but
buy a
you
running back
might
so
want the
don't-
depth because there's so many injuries going around this year. Like for all we know, like Chubb could go down. If Chubb goes down, Kareem Hunt's
Yeah, right.
probably a top 5 runner.
I would just
Protect
say,
your chubs.
I mean, receiver would be my
Yeah.
first observation. Like, Minnesota doesn't want to throw the ball very often. Like, Kirk Cousins, I think he threw the ball like
Well, that's what I mean.
20
The
times.
way running backs look right now,
Yeah.
even after week 2, he's got Adam Thielen. Maybe you throw somebody like Thielen, just for example, Thielen and Hunt, right, for a better receiver, so like a top receiver. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Moving on to Alex, panic mode. Is it panic mode for Alex? 0-2. Seems like he kind of got a raw
Dude,
deal.
Alex
weeks
scored.
1 and 2 as far as points
Dude,
scored.
he
against
scored like 50 points in the first 2 minutes of the 1 o'clock games, and then
Kinda
50
everything
points for
just
the
like that,
rest
huh?
of the day.
I think it all depends on if one of his tight ends come around.
1 of 4.
Yeah. He's got a few on the roster.
Not a big fan of his lineup.
No, I mean, I
I mean, he's not bad going forward. I mean, Henderson's going to be the starter there, or he's going to get the most work there this week too. So that could probably help him going forward because Akers and Brown are both hurt, and he's decent in that regard. I mean, everybody beats up on the Eagles, so Joe Mixon will be fine. He'll have probably a nice day. Might not be running the ball, but he'll.
Who's he got this week? Who's he playing this week?
Alex?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Let's go see. I think he's playing Brock. Nope, he's playing Jose.
Good luck
That's,
to him.
that's a high scoring team in the league right now.
Yeah. It's,
Yes, it
it's
is.
tough.
All right, well that pretty much wraps up our week 2. We're gonna move into our commissioner power rankings.
All right, cool. Yeah, trying to get through these. So coming in at number 12, Tommy. You could tell actually, Alex, that you finally surpassed him for you jumped over. Alex is in at number 12. Rough way to start the season. 0-2, has a few holes on I think a few different areas in my opinion. Personally, I think he needs a little bit more depth of the roster to even it out. He's heavy at like Adams, and then Mixon's been kind of a bust right now this year. That offensive line looks terrible. So Alex in at 12, going to the East for 11. I have Brian. Once again, what Matt pointed out earlier, Brian's is not scoring points right now. It seems like I think he has the potential to turn it around more than anyone at the bottom third of these power rankings. But for a non-injured team, he's off to a really slow start, and things are starting to come around his way. But we'll see where it takes him. Number 10, I have Charlie. Charlie, excellent outing this week. I still think there's a lot of holes until Michael Thomas comes back. He's trying to piece together that flex spot while starting James Robinson at the running back position alongside, it seems like a Nyheim Hines, maybe a DeAndre Swift now after that trade this morning. Was it this morning? This morning, right?
Last night.
Right? So it will be interesting to see where that goes. I know DeAndre Swift's leading in snaps, but he doesn't see much of the carries, and if Detroit's ever in a game, I think the ball's going to go more towards AP. But they aren't a very good team, so he could be on the field quite a bit. Number 9. This one pained me to say, man. Tom. All the way down from number 3. Not because of the team structure. Injuries have devastated his team. Got the 3rd overall pick. Saquon going down. I kind of had him ranked really high last week, but I think after the injuries, it's going to take a lot to turn it around. So we'll see what he does. And they picked up A.J. Green, picked up Mark Ingram, trying to piece things together. We'll see how it works out. Might be making a big jump again next week. We'll see. Number 8, I have Steve. Steve earned a win over Tom last week because of the aforementioned Saquon injury. We'll see where Steve's team goes. It's one of the teams I don't think is that great, but then again, proved me wrong. We talked about his running backs earlier in the episode, so maybe they'll come around and stay alive. I don't know if Montgomery's going to catch a receiving touchdown every week, or if James Conner's going to put up 20 and 2 touchdowns, wherever he ends up doing. So, all the way to number 7. Polska Mafia. It's week 2. It's probably right around where they belong. A couple weeks, we'll see where they go. Might be opening up a 13 spot. But, yeah, Tommy won. Good job, Tommy. 6, I still have me ranked above Tommy.
I just can't.
I dropped myself down pretty, a little bit lower than I had last week just because the team just didn't perform. Just didn't get in the end zone, as I mentioned. Under 100 points, unacceptable. Step it up, Derrick Henry. Not the 5th overall pick for nothing. Jake at number 5. I think he had the best roster coming in. Didn't talk about injuries. And this guy's 2 starting receivers. So I think your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th.
No. Yeah, wait.
Round picks have all been hurt. And it's going into week 3?
Third, yeah. At least 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Nah, I think 5th was Andrews, so it was 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Yeah, your 4th was you get Lockett.
It's a 1st, 2nd, 3rd still.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I still
Lucky
have
to
him
be
ranked.
one of
He
them.
was able to pick up Mike Davis, so I'm interested to see how that works out. I think if he can put together a win or 2, the way the East is looking too, it's looking pretty even with injuries across the board. So McCaffrey comes back, he might be able to hang in and at least get. I don't know if he's going to be racing for the top 5 anymore, but
I don't think so.
I still think playoffs are potentially in the future. Number 4, I have Jose jumping all the way to 4. The guy just put up 2 weeks worth of points in one day, so unbelievable. Yeah, number 3 down from 1, so we do have a new number 1 is Brock. Again, a great week by Brock. I can't really say much negative about his team.
He had a fucking fantastic.
He scored over 120 points. He had an injury to his receiver, and still looked great.
And I think he still lost by 20 points.
Yeah, Jose just dropped 160 on him.
30, yeah, that's right.
Coming in at number 2, I have my opponent this week, Mike. We talked about it earlier, not to beat a dead horse, but just have a well-rounded roster.
Yeah.
Who is calling?
And then number 1, I have our other host on the other side of me here, straight across, Matt. Also, once again, he can't buy a high of the week, but he's buying a lot of wins. So
fucking
And a lot of points.
second place twice.
A lot of points this week. We had a shit ton of points scored this week. It's looking like, what was that, 18? That we had that fucking monster scoring year.
Even the losses.
Yeah,
Losing
that's what I'm
teams
saying.
this
Yeah.
week
Yeah,
still
3
put
teams
up
scored
points.
under 100, but still,
Yeah.
like you
Well,
had,
I'm saying,
you had Brock over 120. I think Alex scored over 100. Yeah, a lot of teams.
I know, I hit over.
It's funny because Charlie scored like 140 and no one's talking about it.
Yeah,
140.
I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
He had the third most points scored, right?
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
140
It was Jose,
points.
you, him.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about it because Matt and Jose blew the
150.
roof off the place.
I think
Yeah.
you don't talk about it because it was kind of not fluky, but I don't think it's players that are going to sustain. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he has a roster that's going to continue.
They had good weeks.
Well, that Kyler D-Hop stat
I
is
wasn't
gonna be
expecting that
dangerous
stack.
at all
I was not
times.
expecting that stack to be.
That
nearly
is
as good as it
absolutely
was.
insane.
It's
Yeah,
incredible.
he really he hit with that.
Yeah.
But all right, that
But yeah,
wraps
that's the power rankings. We'll check in next week to see who moves up, who goes down.
Coming for you, Matt.
Yeah, those are Commissioner Power Rankings for Week 3. We're gonna take our TV timeline. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with we're gonna leave with our league news. We were supposed to be having the owner of the Polska Mafia join us today, but for some reason Tommy thinks that the show should be coming to him, that we go on the road.
Scheduling conflict.
Not really.
What are you gonna do?
Not really.
He thinks this show should be coming to him, so we had to put a to that.
Classic Tommy 2-0.
Yeah.
So the late fill-in, of course.
A little bit of a fat
2
head.
weeks in a row here, we have the owner of Average Joe's. Before we get into any questions with him, though, we're going to dive into our league news. We're going to start with trades. So the first trade that we had this year, Biggest Loser, sending James Conner and Benny Snell to B Block's Finest for DJ Moore and Frank Gore. Next, we had Average Joe's sending Robbie Anderson and who the hell was it? Hunter
Hunter Henry.
for AJ Green and Mark Ingram.
I wasn't even listening to my bit.
And then we had Charlie making another trade. John Brown, I believe that was last night, right?
Yeah.
John Brown for DeAndre Swift, which is a nice little move for him. Obviously, we'll start with yours. What was the thinking behind the trade?
Well, Saquon went down, which everybody knows. Not really missing his whopping 9 points, I think, on the year, something like that. I think he scored under 10 so far between weeks 1, 2, and 3.
I think he scored like a total of like 11.
Something like that.
Well,
Yeah,
guarantee
it's
you
not
he won't
much,
score
but
any
we're not
30.
missing that.
Yeah,
so.
he ain't gonna score any for the rest of the year. Actually.
Right.
He'll average like 1 for the whole year.
But anyway, yeah, he went down. So my backup running back, my RB2 would have been either Tariq Cohen or Sonny Michel, and I wasn't really comfortable going into week 3 now with
Yes.
those guys. So
Yeah.
I felt like we had to make a move. We had a couple guys on the bench, good receivers,
It's not.
which I thought.
It's not complete desperation, but we're starting to teeter on that line a little bit.
I mean, 0-2 now. Like I said, I felt like we had to make a move. We needed to upgrade the RB2 spot, which I think we did. I mean, we got Mark Ingram back, but I mean, we would still like to upgrade again if we could.
We know you're always active,
Mike?
Any input on the other 2 trades? Connor and Snell for Moore and Gore, or John Brown for DeAndre Swift? Thinking behind that?
Yeah, I thought that.
We know you're a big John Brown.
No, not for me. I'm talking about for Charlie and Steve. I thought that the trade was initially really good for Charlie because he ran into a situation before where he had DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, and they were both in the same team. It was supposed to start out being DeMarco Murray, and then Derrick Henry was going to overtake him, and then the two of them just flip-flop weeks, and he was wrong every week on who to start. And I was fully expecting the situation to pop up where James Conner was going to be the starter, but then Snell was going to get most of the work because James Conner was beat up. And then next week, James Conner's out, so you have to start Snell, and then he's back in, and then you want to start James Conner, and then you get screwed again. And it's going to be the same situation Charlie was in before. So I think him doing that was good, but now he's literally scraping by on running backs. He did get another one, however, but I'm sure it'll bite me in the ass the next 2 times I play.
Okay.
Moving on to the waiver wire. So we're going to do the past 2 weeks. We had Charlie, again, we talked about it earlier, dropping, I believe it was $89 combined on 2 running back, Hines and Snell. One not on the roster anymore, and the other one not putting up the performance you would like to see for spending $60. This week, obviously the news for me, I needed to make a move, spending $57 on Mike Davis. Deion Lewis going for $30, which was a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought it was a little cheaper. I did put a bid in on him. Seki over here, Tom, another player that I put a bid on, knowing that the guy I'm playing this week was going to try.
What
to
did
pick
Tom
him up.
spend on Gasecki?
$17 actually, which was higher obviously than I put, but not too
So
much.
wait, you thought the Deion Lewis?
I thought that was a little high. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said low. I was going to
Nah,
say, yeah, that was
see,
expensive in my opinion.
And this was even before the Freeman news came out. I had a bid on him, but I didn't have that high of a bid.
I did too, before the Freeman news came out though.
Yeah, and
then
even
once
then
that
I
broke-
left the bid in. I mean, obviously in the situation I'm in, I need all the running back help I can get. And
Yeah.
the talk was him being not the workhorse, but them probably being behind, and him, get
It's
some
funny.
catches.
So
and,
before the Freeman news, I actually had Gallman ranked ahead of.
So you know
Deion
what?
Lewis.
I had a $0 bid on Gallman too, with thinking if I got Lewis, I could just roster him, and then if anything happens.
I honestly think Gallman would have been the guy over
going
Lewis,
forward, just like last year. Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
over Deion Lewis.
Who got Gallman?
Running wise.
Well,
I don't think anyone did.
no one did because
Nah,
Freeman's on
yeah.
the team now. It's just a backup.
Once Freeman was
You're never
on the
gonna
team,
start
I
anyway.
dropped that.
Yeah, but Deion Lewis
pick
was
up.
the receiving back on.
He's a receiving back.
Yeah, he's receiving.
Yeah, but I
back,
think
so he'll
Gallman
still
would have
see
been.
where-
Yeah,
Yeah, but with Freeman there, you'll
Even
know
Devontae
Deion
Freeman.
probably still sees some
right. I'm
Whereas
saying before
Freeman's
Freeman was
already
picked
rostered.
up.
They're still
He's
going to
already-
I
have to
would've-
have to ease Freeman
Yeah.
into the offense and all too. It's going to take a couple of weeks.
Like this
Yeah.
week, if
You
I had
know
to
what I
start
mean?
anyone on the Giants this week, I would start Wayne Gallman.
this week.
Yeah.
Who are they playing this week?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're playing San Fran, if I'm not mistaken.
I'd
Yes,
probably-
they are.
I'd
Yeah.
probably play.
But like for somebody, but see, that's hard though because for someone like again me who has running back problems right now, it'd be hard for me like knowing not that I need to win, but if I can sneak by with a couple wins here without CMC, It'd be hard for me to be like, all right, let me plug fucking Gallman into my lineup and hope, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he gets 2 or 3 carries. And then,
Like, I think Gallman will have a considerable amount more, like, a big difference in carries from Dion Lewis.
I think Freeman's going to get, like,
I think
I think
so
he's
too.
going to get them, like, little like the you know, the runs up the middle, like all the simple blocks, simple run
Like,
plays.
Gallman, throughout training camp, was the guy. They were talking really high on him, actually. Like, hey, if we need to make him our bell cow, we can. He was actually inactive last week because of this situation that if Saquon were to go down, they have him healthy. And they're not going to run Saquon and him at the same time. They're basically like that's their first and second down backs. So that's why he was inactive. But, yeah, that's why Dion Lewis came in and got all the carries. I just don't think they want to do that. No one wants to run Dion Lewis.
No, I think he went Dion Lewis too because it is. I think it's still more long term in where like he will still be the receiving back on that team.
Oh,
where
yeah.
Gallman and Freeman, even though Gallman will be the better this week, might not be the better one.
Right. I'm saying before Freeman was signed officially, I would have ranked. Right now, I would rank it Freeman, Dion Lewis, then Gallman.
Yeah.
And the one snipe I know of was actually for me. I had put a $2 bid on Roethlisberger too, and Jose ended up getting him on the tiebreaker. I don't know if anyone heard any.
Nah, I didn't know that.
I know people try to keep everything close to the chest. I'm kind of open right now with my numbers and like what I throw out and all that. Anybody hear any numbers like close to 57
I
for
know.
Davis?
Matt put
I
$2
put like
on
$2. Yeah.
on Curtis Samuel. I got him for $3.
Yeah,
I also
There you
put
go.
like $2 down on the Eagles defense.
and $5.
And,
That was actually
Tommy's up.
that was a weird one to me because they're playing the Redskins this week, and I thought Cleveland's like kind of like a high-ranked defense.
They
this
are,
week.
but they haven't done shit.
Oh, Cleveland's
Yeah,
playing the
yeah.
Redskins.
The Redskins,
Yeah, he
yeah,
dropped,
and
he
he
dropped
did.
Cleveland.
And he dropped Cleveland.
I thought
to
for
pick up
some
the
reason
Eagles.
that you were saying the Eagles are playing the Redskins and then called the Redskins Cleveland.
Nah.
No.
And I was like,
no.
wait, hold on.
No, you did look at me real good there, but
Speaking
nah.
of Mike Davis, though, I think it was a $28 bid.
Oh, really?
for
That's
him.
really funny.
Yeah, it was 26 or 28.
I put 27.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So-
26 or 28.
Yeah.
So my thinking behind it, and this is something that I'm sure everyone thinks
Okay.
about at the time. So my first bid was 56 for Mike Davis, and then you start thinking, you're like, all right, well, someone was going to do 55.
Yeah.
They would think, fuck it, I'll do 56 because
57.
someone would do
Yeah,
56.
so
I was like, fuck it, I'll do
That too.
57.
Yeah, what's $1?
Well, that's why I think I
Right.
did 26.
You're right.
That's
figured
why I
someone
did
was gonna do
$3 for
25.
Samuel, because I was like, someone would put like a $1 bid. And Matt's probably thinking, well, someone's going to put a $1 bid. I'll
Same
put a
thing
2.
with Roethlisberger.
And I was like, fuck it, I'll put a 3.
Same thing. That was the same thing with the quarterback. I'm like, if somebody
That's what I'm
wants something, they're going
thinking
to do
with
a dollar.
everybody. I bet everyone I bid on. I swear to God.
I must have changed that 2 or 3 times, and I was like, fuck.
Also, one cool thing, I don't know if you guys all know this, but when you're putting a bid for players, I just realized this last night because before I was
Adjust
deleting
it.
all of my
You can
bids.
adjust it.
Yeah, you can go to edit on the app.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I had no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Last week, I deleted 15 bids and put them all back in.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
nah, you
had-
just go to edit. Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
upwards of like 40 pending transactions yesterday. I had so many players I was picking up. And like that was including the tight end, you know what I mean? Like I was picking up anybody I can get my hands on, either trade bait or players that I needed. I was trying to get them. Yeah, so any other, like I said, we talked about Charlie Hines, and that kind of, he's traded one and the other one didn't perform, and that really depletes him for the rest of the year. Like I lost a lot of money this week, and I needed to, but I think it's $29 I have left, which can still get me somebody. You know, if I need them, I can still put a decent sized bid on it.
Here's my thing too. Like I don't really understand. I'm walking away with a lot of fab too. I tried. I don't know if other teams tried. I don't really understand of like keeping, and I guess the 2 teams that have 100% are in the room, but like saving fab like you would save a waiver wire, because like when, in my opinion, when are you going to see another week
The
like this
playoffs.
week?
You know what though? I said it to him earlier today.
I mean, but you got to look. I don't mean to cut. Hold on. You got to look. They're both 2-0, right? Both 2-0.
Right.
So they can kind of wait on that. You know what I mean? Like they have the running backs. They didn't need
Well,
anybody.
like
this
who's
week.
gonna? All right. So what's Mike? We'll just use Mike's team. Like what are you gonna bid $100 on? Like if Kenyon Drake were to go down, Chase Evans is roster. If
Well, off-camera voice here. Yeah, honestly, looking at there's nothing I feel like I
Okay,
need.
right, I
So,
agree.
like, I'd like,
Watch
Yeah.
Bender.
Why?
I agree with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
like, what would I do with my
If some
Davis?
receiver gets hurt,
True.
and if some receiver, say some running back gets hurt on someone else's team, you're about to play them in the playoffs. You have the opportunity just to bid on that player so they don't get them.
Oh, I
You know what I
know.
mean? Like, yeah.
Well, it's also like this year has been crazy with injuries too. So
Yeah.
where like if something cool else happens, like we can put down a $50 bid. You can't do shit
Right,
back.
right.
And
yeah.
same thing with
Absolutely.
Charlie. Like they can't do nothing.
But we were put in that position, and like I said,
yeah,
you just have the
you were
luxury.
putting it early. We have the
you just
luxury of sitting on it,
right
and if we
now.
get put in it late,
Well, yeah, I don't want
we
to speak
can
for
get at it.
Matt, but yeah, my thought process has been there's been nothing
There's
given
no
my
hope.
roster
Yeah.
construction that I really need.
There's
If you
no
pick up
hope.
Mike Davis,
So,
you're not going to start him.
Exactly.
So why?
There was like no
Yeah.
point. Jake's not he's not
Yeah,
in my
I'm not
division.
hurting
I'm
you.
not playing him. I don't need to block him. Like why?
Nah. Plus, like I said, later on in the year, and shit, it's only week 3.
No, it's
I'm
not.
down
I'm
to
not
$29.
intentionally saving
I
it.
mean,
It's
I'm
just
down to
that I
29
don't
and
see.
Charlie's
I
down
don't
to
see a
11.
point
I sold
my-
Charlie that
as it
$11.
stands.
My
That's
goal
crazy.
is to like by week 5 have 0 fab, so I can just only put a $0 bid
Yeah,
down.
right.
Because I'm tired of managing this fucking fab.
I love it. I don't know how you guys feel. I love it.
He
Yeah, I
asked me
like
about
it,
it
dude.
earlier.
I know I love it, but like
He's like, did you come around to it yet? And I said, no, I still hate it,
Nah.
but it's the reason I got Mike Davis.
It's fun.
Every week's poker, baby.
yeah.
All right. Any other thing on the waiver wire? We got any other? Is that 57 too high?
No.
Lewis too high. I think Lewis was a little high for 30.
Yeah,
Especially after knowing the
I think
free
he was a little high, but I think he just wanted them. And it's the first year for Fab. Not everybody knows how to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, there was 2 people that voted against Fab. It was you and Brock.
2 players have spent the
Most.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to get into our 2-0 starts and 0-2 starts. All right, we're going to start with the good news. We're going to start with our 2-0 starts. We're going to start in 2016. Alexander's Greats started off 2-0, ended up finishing 7-6. Solanic Sanitation started off 4-0, ended up 8-5 with a championship appearance. In 2017, the Wisconsin Ratskins started 3-0 on a run they made to 9-4, culminating with a Malone. In 2018, we had both sides of the bun. B Block's Finest both start 2-0. Both sides of the bun finishing 8-5 in a playoff appearance. B Block's Finest 2-0, and with our high mark of 11-2, also at a playoff appearance. And then the Ratskins, 2 years in a row, 3-0. That was the year they ended up 4-9. I believe they were one of 2 teams.
If
to-
I was one.
If I'm not mistaken,
2 emails.
after I started
I have
3-0,
two
the
emails
next
on
like
that, too.
6 weeks,
I
I
got
went
locked
against
out.
the
I
high.
had another email too.
Yeah,
I
I
had
can
no
check that
shot.
for you.
I had no shot.
Um,
Like every week, a guy scored 120 or more.
And then going back to last year, our first year with
3-0 to 4-9. I
I think I
I
read the
lost
record
9
the
straight.
one year for
I
I
Michael
lost
scored
9
against.
straight and then won the final game.
think we coined that pulling
Last
Tommy.
year when I made the playoffs.
Pulling the time. No, I did it first. So
Going to 2019 was our first year with 12 teams. We actually saw an increase in 2-0 teams. We had 4 teams with 2-0 start. 2 teams actually started 4-0. Jose Hooligans 2-0. Both sides of the bun again with a 2-0 start. Jose ended up 7-6. Both sides of the bun 8-5. Both made the playoffs. The Ratskins with another good start. This time it was 4-0. Ended up 9-4 in the playoff appearance.
Porns?
And then, I was going into the Polska Mafia. And then the Polska Mafia with their 4-0 start last year ended up 5-8. So we had 2 teams start 2-0, at least 2-0, who didn't end up with a winning record. But if you average it out, the teams who start 2-0 average record of 7-6. You have a 70% chance of making the playoffs, and there was 1 championship. Now, if you go to the other side, we're going to go to the 0-2 starts. In 2016, the Globo Gym Purple Cobras started off 0-3, ended up 9-4 with a championship. Both sides of the bun, that was a rough year for them, starting off 0-5. If I remember that year, I think Joe was just
Joe got
trading
trade happy.
players
He got
and
trade happy.
dropping people. And
That was not again, no excuses into it all, but I think it was my first time playing fantasy in like 3 years. Like I stopped playing fantasy for a while, came back, and then my first 3-round picks got hurt. I was like, well, these kind of fantasy gods telling me, like, this is what you get for quitting.
Same year, I drafted 5 running backs. All 5 went
Yeah.
down with ACL tears.
Dude, looking back on that, Doug Martin, I think was my 2nd round pick. How far we've come in 5 years.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, isn't that
Peterson was my
crazy?
first.
I just read a stat about him too. Not too long ago, like a week or 2 ago.
Crazy. 5 years ago, Doug
He was a
Martin was the
monster
2nd
for a
round
year or
pick.
2
Yeah.
there.
Alright, so both sides of the bun that year ended up 3-10. I believe that's their worst record overall.
Yeah, by far.
In 2017, and this kind of I think becomes not a recurring theme, but C Block's biggest loser, starting off 0-3, ended up the year 2-11. In 2018,
Thank
the
God.
Solanic Sanitation started 0-5, made a really good run at the end of the year, ended up 6-7. Team Jose actually started off 0-2. His championship year ended up 7-6 with the championship. Team Brock 0-2 with another 2-11. If we go to 2019, again, we expanded to 12 teams. At this, we had 4 0-2 starts. B Block's Finest 0-2, ended up 5-8. Voodoo Papa Juju 0-3, ended up 4-9.
Rip Foster.
C Block's Biggest Loser, another bad start, 0-4. Actually ended up 6-7. Tried a good end of the year last year. And then Slank Sanitation ended up 0-2, and but they're back-to-back 6-7 finishes. So the average record for 0-2 starts 5-8. You actually do have 2 championships, and they were the only 2 teams to make the playoffs. So looking at them numbers, it's really 0-2 is really not where you
Bleak, but it's possible.
I know it's only 12 teams, and it's fantasy and all that, but like numbers like this actually, over a long period of time, they kind of average themselves out. And regardless of who you have, starting off 0-2 is kind of looks like to me a death sentence.
It's never good.
So you're
Yeah, but
saying there's a chance.
Yeah, but if you make the playoffs, it's 100% success rate of winning.
20% chance actually.
Right? No, if you make the playoffs there, you said both teams that made
Both
the playoffs.
teams actually won a championship. Yeah, Team Jose in
There you
2018.
go. So make the playoffs at 0-2,
myself.
and you're gonna win a championship.
So
Simple
far.
as that.
All right. Anybody else on any league news? Anything I missed?
I got someone on our guest that didn't show up today. Fucking jerk.
Drama alert.
We'll do that before we get into our guest here. Go.
All right. Yeah. He's a dickhead.
Who's
Didn't
our
want to
guest?
show up.
Wait, which guest? The one that's here? Or?
Tommy. No,
Tommy
or
the Polska
Tommy?
Mafia?
Tommy, not Tom. He's an asshole too. But
Don't get
Tommy
him
sucked. I heard Tommy had mad beef with my trading because he offered me junk for the number 1 running back currently in the league, and
Could
I
you
told
recap
him
that,
to kick
Matthew?
rocks. Yeah. I'll even tell you who he offered me.
Yeah, please do.
He
What,
offered
Aaron?
me, huh?
Where Aaron trade?
Yeah, fuck this dude.
Nah, that's not good.
Nah, but he offered me junk. He offered me 2 guys for 1, and it was just simply not worth it. And then I came back and I gave him what I thought was a fair price, or at least a fair starting point for conversation, and he blew me off and thought that it was the end of the world.
So we just went from Dateline NBC to TMZ. Is that what happened?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I said I wanted Mike Evans at least, or a deal with Zeke for Aaron Jones.
So you are
And this dude, yeah, fuck this dude. I'm not gonna tell you what he offered me.
dude.
But yeah,
The
I'm not
airing
gonna
of
tell you
grievances.
What he offered me, because it was pathetic. But I brought that up, and he freaked out and flipped out on me and said that I was going overboard. No way he'd do it. I'm like, all right, well then,
How'd that make you feel?
I don't know. I was angry. I'm a little angry right now. I'm just venting my frustration.
Matt, that's
He
what
didn't
I.
fucking show up.
The word from his agent was he was still so upset with you. That's why he refused to come on the program.
Oh, is that what it was?
There are rumors and innuendo.
I don't know exactly who he offered to trade you. I imagine it was a good deal considering he is 2-0.
Is that all you got on it?
Both the players
better than
both the players he offered me would not be in my starting lineup. Both of them would be sitting on my bench. So
Well, Matt, you have the best team in the league, didn't you? Watch the power
Yeah,
rankings.
yeah.
That's according to the power. Right?
this is fair. Yeah.
Right.
All right. I know we kind of touched on pretty much everything with Tom. Does anybody have any questions for Tom? We touched on the Barkley thing, right? How we're going to try to recover from that.
Yeah, I mean.
I guess I'll ask you. 0-2, death sentence? You think you
Nah,
can come
I
back
don't
from
think
that?
so. Dude. I mean, I think I have a decent team, honestly.
I think
I've had
going into the year
two
we
rough
all
weeks.
Yeah, I think we all agreed that you had a pretty solid lineup.
Truthfully, I've had 2 rough weeks. You know.
Well, what do you think about this week coming up? Like you got.
Well, we're going to dive into that. But actually, no. Let me get your opinion. How do you feel about this
Yeah.
week? You have right now.
Oh.
You are a 2.5 point favorite according to our projections.
Right. 0-3 is never good. I'll just leave it at that.
Worse than 0-2.
Yes. Yeah.
I can get the numbers. on
Slightly better than 0-4.
Slightly better than 0-4. Yeah. Nah, 0-3 is never good. We need a win this week. Truthfully, in my opinion, that's just.
I think Matt threw it out to me. I think he said if you win and Brian wins and Tom wins.
If me, you, and Brian all win, I have a fucking stranglehold.
Brian, Matt's
Yeah, you-
3-0,
yeah.
but then everybody's sitting at
1-1. Or 1-2, right?
Yeah, the rest of the.
So everything's. I mean, you got 2 other playoff spots, man. Yeah, if
Yeah.
Matt hits 3-0, you only got 13 weeks. It's gonna be
Right.
hard to come back and.
But
get
playing
that
catch
bye,
up at
but-
0-3 is.
But as
rough,
we can see,
you know. But it's not like we're not putting up points. I mean,
Well, I'm just
we
I'm
put
just
up
saying.
decent points.
No,
we just
that,
need about
that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting
16
at is like
more on average.
you
per
two
game.
had like the marquee injuries this week too,
Yeah.
and you're playing each other, so you're both banged up.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, he's got receivers coming
That's
back, which
pretty
is
much
nice.
he hit on an RB1 though, and I just don't
Yeah.
have an RB1 right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Who?
So when
Mark
Tom,
Ingram?
No,
you talking
Taylor.
about John
Taylor,
Taylor? Yeah, I was
I
gonna
mean, you
say.
hit on him. You know what I mean?
Both of our number 2 running backs are projected pretty much the same.
Eight and a half, I
Points.
think,
Yeah,
something like that.
whatever it is, 8.8.
Yeah, it's close.
Like,
Like I said, it's after the moves I made, it made it. I was actually projected a little higher. I think I was like.
Well, without Barkley,
Point
without
higher.
McCaffrey in the lineups, our teams are pretty similar, to be honest.
Well, I was going to say, you were the one that benefited the most and then got, deflated the most by
Yeah,
injury
well.
back-to-back weeks.
As I said, if he's out for 6-8 weeks, something like that, that's completely different. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
he's
Like,
gone
you
for
got
a year. I just
okay. You got Jonathan Taylor off an injury. Like, he wasn't seeing much work. He was still seeing some.
Well,
whatever,
draft
but-
day, he was someone that I targeted. You know what I mean? I think I actually talked to Joey that day about it. I was looking at
Thanks,
to
Tommy.
draft. Devin Singletary. That's right, Singletary. Tommy drafted him, so I ended up with Jonathan Taylor, which actually worked out, great for me.
Oof.
But yeah,
If you had Singletary.
Devin Singletary should be on my roster right now instead of Jonathan Taylor.
And God knows where he would be, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're just going to
Yeah.
instead of taking another break, we're just going to keep our guest here on camera for our predictions for this week. We're going to start with our game. Lobo Gym Purple Cobras going up against Average Joe's. I texted Tom earlier. Actually, it was funny. Mike asked me before the season in the interviews, which we still haven't seen.
You guys had interviews?
Yeah.
Shit.
I didn't.
He asked me, what the hell were we talking about earlier? About
Couldn't tell you how to interview.
we usually have a lot more shit talk throughout the week. Usually starting like even Sunday or Monday when the game before is still going on. We usually start our shit talk.
Yeah.
I think we're both in a position right now where we're kind of scared, and we both obviously just lost the one and.
Well, if
should
you're
be
looking
number
at his
2 pick.
lineup and looking at my lineup, I mean, it's kind of like a pick 'em here. You know what I mean? It's.
The only thing I
I
can
don't think
say
anyone
is,
really has the edge this week in
Two-
our game.
I think it was 2 years ago. I made the move. I picked Lev 1. He got hurt. I made the move, and I ended up doing pretty good for myself. And I don't think I had as good as a roster then than I do now. Same thing last year. I ended up trading. I took wide receiver. Ended up trading them both. And I had a real shitty roster last year. It was like complete
Was it last
patchwork.
year?
Yeah, it was
James
complete
White this year,
patchwork.
or was that the year before?
No, no, James White was
That was
James
last
White,
year.
Chris
2
Carson
years.
2 years
It was
ago.
2
Was it 2
yeah,
years?
but
Okay.
even I had White last year too. I tried riding that horse.
Keep
again.
James
Yeah.
White in your prayers.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Good player.
But yeah, the shit talking hasn't really been there, and like I said, I think we're both like kind of in shock on everything that's happening. But as far as a game prediction, like I said, right now it's about a 2.5 point line as far as projections. Kamish.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like a pickle. I got Jake edging it out just out of the risk. I don't know what Kittle's going to be doing. I don't know if he's going to be playing a
I don't
lot.
know if he's going to play yet.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to play either. So we'll see how it shapes up coming, and if Tom or you were able to make any moves before the weekend. But just on like the receivers alone, I think your receivers are, if they come back healthy, that'll be the difference.
Matt.
Yeah, I think your receivers put you over too. Like Kenny Galladay being back
He's a
It's
rough
gonna be
matchup
nice.
this week.
against Arizona.
Yeah, their
Mhm.
defense isn't.
They're playing really well.
Yeah,
actually.
It should still be a high scoring game.
Yeah,
And Stafford loves to throw it all. So
yeah, I'm gonna take myself. I think that's more just hoping for a win. Honestly, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you why I would win or anything like that. I'm kind of hoping on this one. 2-1 be really nice. America.
Well, what's the latest news on Godwin and Galladay?
Godwin practiced today. Godwin
Galladay
practiced
was
today.
limited.
Galladay was limited. Yeah.
If they don't play, America
Godwin,
wants Tom.
Godwin will play. That was a concussion.
Yeah, Godwin
He's
was a
back.
concussion.
Galladay's the one that
He does have Tom Brady throwing him the ball.
yeah, you know what?
Touched on
We're
it
gonna
already.
stick.
A lot of
We're
mouse
gonna,
teams
we're gonna
on
stick
the
with Tom. We're gonna go with the upset.
America. Well, that's not the upset.
No, I'm
The
not
upset,
I'm
that's
actually
actually
Oh,
the
you're the favorite. All right.
Believe it or
Well, then
not,
there you
yeah.
go.
Alright.
Somehow.
Alright, we're gonna get Tom. Guest?
Yeah, I would like to take myself, but I mean it's kind of
Same thing, just want
yeah,
to taking
it's-
yourself.
yeah.
Alright, we're gonna move on
Pick 'em.
to the Wisconsin Redskins going up against B Block's finest.
Another close one.
Projections are close, less than a point, so we'll call it a pick 'em. We're gonna start with the commission again.
Yeah, I got Matt.
Matt?
Yeah, he hangs on to his week 3 power rankings, number 1.
Matt?
I'm also gonna pick myself.
Any insight on that? Or?
Nah, I mean I'm just better. So, yeah. No, I just think I have an overall better team where.
Matchups this week. I mean, have you
Yeah,
dived
I mean-
into all that on his side at least? I know you know. I know you know your matchups, but on his,
No,
I mean, he picked
I
up
like-
Chenault, and He's actually starting this week.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing against Miami. Miami stinks.
Yeah, but it's that Thursday night, which is always
It's always a rough one.
hit or miss.
It is. Now, I love playing Thursday night players so far. Every time I played a Thursday night player, they've done very well. So, I mean, that should be good news for him. But, I don't know. I just think that I have overall better matchups in this regard.
For me, I think it's going to come down to the news that Matt dropped earlier. If there's anything wrong with Waller, I think I would go with Steve. But as the rosters are right now, I think I'm going to go with Matt. But like I said, I think it comes down to that whole Waller thing. If he don't play, that could really change everything. America?
Without looking at the matchups, give it Steve.
Steve?
Well, you got against me 2 weeks in a row.
I mean, this guy over here, he's got the MVP at quarterback. He's got the MVP at running back right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Darren Waller's playing, phenomenal.
Who's your quarterback?
Russell
Ross.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Nick
He does,
Chubb's
he's got a lot.
no slouch.
Yeah, you got
That's
the
pretty
one, Nick Chubb's,
Loses Joe.
wide
If
receiver.
T.Y.
He's a
Hilton
running
can
back
do
ten.
something, that would be a nice little
T.Y.
flex
Hilton's
for
sitting
it.
on my bench, probably.
He's in your
Maybe.
flex right now.
Yeah, he is. I'm deciding between him and David Johnson.
So Matt's just flexing right
Yeah.
now. Who you picking?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. I thought you were still talking
Nah, he picked.
to America.
Matt?
Yeah, I would take the Wisconsin Redskins
Huh?
this week.
All right, we're going to move on to C Block's biggest loser going against Shirts Off Pants Down. As we sit right now, Shirts Off Pants Down, projection-wise, is a 3-point favorite, Commish.
Yeah, give me Brian.
Right?
I think he gets his first win this week.
Brian comes out of the hole, pokes his head out.
I'd have to.
Matt?
Oh, me, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep saying
I'm going to go
Charlie.
with Charlie
Charlie on this one?
because I know Julio Jones has a lot of phantom injuries that aren't really injuries, but he did see less work at the end of the that game last week. So if his his knee? If his knee is bothering him, and I'm sure he'll still go because he's Julio and he's going to play. But I'm sorry, it's a hamstring. I'm sure he'll still play and stuff, but I mean he might disappoint in back weeks. But I mean if he's a full go, that'll be the deciding factor because him and Allen Robinson are playing against each other, and that game is probably just the ball's gonna get thrown every play.
I think this is the one with, I think there's two, there might be a game with 3 players, but we got 2 Thursday night players as of right now going. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with, Bri on this one.
Can we give me the
like his
can you give me the
Both
lock?
3 going.
Can you give me the lock actually?
This is your lock?
My lock of the week.
Bri?
Bry's
Or
the
I'm
lock.
sorry, Bri. Bri's the lock of the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
America?
Char
I'll go
by
with Bri,
10.
I'm sorry. Charlie?
Char by 10.
No,
Charlie?
no thought about it?
And the points, huh? All right.
Guest?
I want Bry to win, but I think Charlie honestly has the better roster, except for that running back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably have to go with Bry. Honestly, yeah.
Alright, next match, both sides of the bun going up against Slanic Sanitation. Right now, the sanitation department, projection-wise, is a 1.5 favorite. 2 high scores, 109.5 to 108. Commish, how you feel about your games?
Derrick Henry gets in the end zone twice. I still barely win by about 3 points.
Matt?
Yeah, I think I agree with Joe. I think Joe's going to win. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference, but I think looking at matchups right now, I think Joe's better off.
Get Lamar on Monday night.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, I think Lamar...
Lamar's going to have to play
Yeah.
out of his mind.
Who you thinking?
He said he agreed with Joe.
You said you agree with
Yeah,
Joe?
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were still asking.
Gotta work on these pauses, guys.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know he was just looking
Come on,
at
Matt.
me.
He looks at the phone, and I'm like, alright, he's
Well,
really
I'm
thinking
looking at
about this,
matchups and shit now. I'm
You know what
sorry.
I'm saying? Yeah, I think Lamar's gonna have. I think that game's gonna be obviously, really exciting. Points scored, all that fun shit. So yeah, I think Joe's going to pull it out this week, get himself back into it. America
Oh, the sanitation department cleans up.
cleans up again.
Cleans up.
Good pun.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mike
It's Mike.
this week. Yeah,
Don't forget, if you got a lock, give me your
I
lock.
think if Gurley and Thielen can do something for you, Mike, you're in good shape.
Next, next.
All right, I got the next game on my slate would be Alexander's Greats going to go up against Jose Hooligans.
Should have saved my lock.
Yeah.
Right now, Jose looks like a 9-point favorite going into this one, almost.
Just barely.
Kamish.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Jose.
Can you have 2 locks? Is that a
No,
thing?
you can't
Nah.
have two.
No?
Better pull this one out,
Son of a
bro.
bitch. Well, I am also going to go with Jose because Alex's team just stinks.
Clean sweep.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jose, and I'm actually going to go lock of the week.
Mm-hmm.
America.
Get the brooms.
Yeah.
America pulling out the locker.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Alex. Yeah, I'm gonna
Master
have to go
lock
with
on
Jose.
that.
I'm gonna have to go with Jose on
Yeah,
this
you
one.
have to draw little lots. That's cool. You can draw one next
Better
week.
roster, almost up and down.
There too.
I thought you said next week.
Yeah.
Locking this one up.
Yeah.
Lock of the week or?
Yeah,
lock
probably
of the week.
Jose.
So
Yeah.
4 out of 5. Excuse me. 4 out of 5.
4 to 5 locks. Yeah.
All right, then we're gonna get into our last game. The Polska Mafia, 2-0, going up against the Brock football team. Brock without a flex, and right now I think Gibson was 10.5. Add him in projection wise. Brock's looking at about a 12-point
11, 12
line
point.
right now.
Yeah.
Commish,
Wow.
does he do it again?
So I wrote down Tommy as my upset of the week. But then
Can I
I looked at
change
his
my
roster
lock?
again.
But then I looked at his roster again.
Yeah, and give me Brock. I'm gonna change it. Give me Brock, but it wouldn't surprise me if Brock scores like 75 points this week. Sorry, Brock.
Matt?
Yeah, Brock. Tommy's got like 9 Eagles rostered. And
that team just fucking
they
stinks.
stink. Yeah. So
I'm gonna go Brock as well. America
Brock.
and guest.
Yeah, probably Brock. Sorry, nothing against you, Tommy.
Can I wait?
Mine is a little personal, to be
Can I go-
honest.
Yeah,
Can I
nothing
go with my
personal with me, Tom.
Yeah, give me my gut. I'm changing it. Tommy upset of the week.
All right, well that wraps up our predictions. One thing I did want to throw out, the game of the week this week. I would say either the Wisconsin Redskins against B Block's finest, or both sides of the bun going up against Slanix Sanitation.
They're always good.
It's not the Globo Gym Purple Cobras.
Game of the week, both
versus
sides of the bun.
Average Joes.
Not with these injuries, but
Yeah,
game of the week, both sides of the bun going up against Slanix Sanitation. Any final thoughts from anybody?
Do we have our records put out for our predictions?
No, I didn't get that. I was going to let a couple weeks go by. I got them all written down and everything, but I figured like
Yeah.
week 4 or 5 we
We
started.
look pretty good.
I really got to start
After
looking
week
at the
one.
I know
matchups beforehand.
you were
I was 6-0.
6
Certainly not 6-0 anymore.
5-1, 5-1. I think 4-2. I didn't do
Those
last.
first picks.
Yeah, I didn't do last week's, but yeah, I'll start adding them all together after this week, and we'll see where we stand going forward. We'll post that every week. Final thoughts, anybody?
I mean, continue, guys. We're still trying to do like a question Q&A, so
yeah.
continue to send some questions in. We had one anonymous owner send in a couple questions week 1. Haven't seen any since. So I know you guys are doing a lot of trade talks. Feel free to, while you're texting for trades, shoot me some questions to bring up on the air.
Still need a running back.
Yeah, Tom still needs a running back.
Hit me up.
Absolutely, I need a running back. I got at least one trade offer out there. We'll see, see how they feel about that. But all right, that was a good show. Week 3, wrap it up. We'll see everybody next week.
Peace.